Okay, good morning. I just wanted to record this information for you as we approach the formal observations. And I wanted to show you an example of the MYP lesson plan. That is anything you plan for grades 6, 7, 8, and 9. So over here we have an example that Purnima has kindly let us borrow. And this one over here is an example of course science. You can see the information here that you need to put. This kind of format is located on the teacher's folder, but let's take a look at this. So once you open the folder, which I shared with you at the beginning of the year, and I can reshare it again, see the email that I just sent, you are going to see the blank NYP unit planner, and you're going to see the sample that I'm showing you on the screen. So in that example, you can put all the information. This is needed for NYP supervision, and the reason why this is different from the one that you find in ManageBack is just the format. It's universal, so we are going to find this kind of format anywhere where we work. So over here, what is usually like easier for teachers in a way is if you have a book that you work with and it's MYP book, you will find all that information ready to put in. For example, if I'm having this unit, I will write down the unit number, the related concepts, and the key concepts. So I have, this is the key concept, this is my related concept, and this is my global context. I hope you're following where my arrow is pointing. Of course, it's not the same because this is a different unit, but this is just an example of how you can join the information from your book into your unit planner. You also have the statement of inquiry over here. You have some questions that you could consider as well. Remember that your statement of inquiry has to have your global context, your key concept, and your related concepts, as you see on this example. Now, you also put down the objectives, and the objectives are going to depend on what criteria you are using for the unit. You can do more than one criteria. I will meet up with individual groups regarding this topic. But the way that it works is this. For example, if I go to criteria A, I will be able to check if I am doing this for year 1, which is grade 6. On page, this is for science, you gotta look the one for your subject group, or you do grade 8 would be year 3. So grade 6 and 7 is year 1, year 3 is grade 8 and grade 8, and then grade 9 and 10 are year 4 and 5. So for year 4 and 5, if you go here, you'll be able to see what's happening on the criteria, expectations, and all the descriptors are there as well. Now, once you have that information put, you go back and you have to decide what is your summative assessment going to look like. You can also decide that as a pair of teachers if both of you in your group are testing the same thing, the same criteria, which you should be testing. You share a class. This is if you share a class. Then you have the ATLs that I explained at the beginning of the year. They are all in your guide. Okay. Your guide is going to be found here on the same folder, and you just look for your subject, and then you should be able to find a guide similar to the one that I'm showing you. Now, then you go into the action. What's happening here? So what are the objectives that you want to accomplish during this unit? You are going to use for that the command terms described at the very end of your guide. So it's probably going to be like on page 61, right, or 60 over here. So I would see all the different, the science glossary, this one, the ones that are called command terms. You will see what they mean. These are related concepts. You need to find the one that actually says command terms. It's going to be 62. There you go. 62 is going to have the command terms. Make sure you have those definitions clear in your guide, and then you will develop whatever activities you think you will use during the unit that will help you accomplish these goals, right, with the students. This is the ultimate goal. Now, the activities, it's kind of up to you. You can put the resources that you're going to use during the whole unit. A unit can take as long as, whatever you need to have it. And then you have to do the reflection section prior, during, and after teaching. Now, remember that MYP is being used as a framework. That means whatever I need to develop with my students, right, are usually the skills that they need to have. They are going to also have to relate to this key concept, and I decide on the content, right? I decide on the content. How do I decide on the content? I go to my New York state standards. For example, these are the ones for science, and I will look for the standards that are related to my unit, and then I also include them here. So what this format is missing, and I'm gonna add it to the new format over here, this blank, it will have a section here that says that's covering, right? We can add a section here that says that's covering. We can insert a little section that will say here standards covered in this unit, because that is the curriculum we're following in the MYP format. And then that's it. Make sure you incorporate it on your lessons with the formal lesson plan structure that Nishis share with us. And then make sure you also share it with the students, and the students need to have it in whatever format you have. For example, I have here my notebook for grade 9. So if I go to any student, it will show the information that I gave them, right? It will have the essential question, learning outcome, and all that information, plus the information given. For example, for Unit 2, I can see everything that I have explained on my class at the introduction of the unit. So make sure the students have that either in paper format or online or whatever format it is that you use for your class. You gotta show evidence of that. I hope that helped. If you have any questions, please let me know. Come, stop, make an appointment, and I'm more than happy to help you with this. And I hope you have a good day. Okay, one last thing that I forgot to mention is to show you an example of an assessment. So this is an example from Individual and Societies. So when you create an assessment, you have to be very specific. Whatever activity it is, so let's say this is a summative assessment, you have to put a rubric on your assessment, depending on your class. You put a rubric, you are gonna put some sections for feedback. In this case, it's a presentation. Again, remember to put the standards, and remember to put the information like key concept, related concept, and all of that. What are the requirements for the task that you are giving the students, and then which one is the task according to the activity. Another example of an exam, this is an example of a presentation. If I go to, for example, grade 9, just to let you know about assessments, just to start thinking about this, if I create an exam for, let's see, do I have an exam here? Go to exams, there you go, that's helpful. So if I go to an exam, what I need to show is, again, this is for integrated science. So if I have an exam, I'm gonna put that information as in which criteria I am trying to assess for that unit, the criteria information, yeah, what is the grade, what are the comments. This can be the same across the three, it doesn't have to be separate, and then personal reflection that the student will complete after the exam. Again, the information on the units that we just went through, and then you go into a task, right? So you create for each criterion a question. So that criterion will have whatever number of questions you consider enough to assess for the criteria. And once you have that, make sure you accomplish a task, make sure you put the command terms, and you need to define the command terms. You can either define them here on the top, or you can define them at the very end as a footnote. So this is just an example. So in this case, I'm doing two different questions for this assessment for criteria A. Does that make sense? And then I will go into the second criteria and so on. So in my case, I put an example at the end of the, not an example, the actual rubric with the criterion information, the level descriptors, and everything I'm evaluating for my students. So I hope that helps. Again, it's very specific to your class, and I will be meeting with each one of the subject group. So you will be receiving an invitation for a meeting according to your schedule, and hopefully that works for you. Hope that helps.